At DePaco Credit Union, we value your health and happiness as much as your financial well-being. What's your dream? A trip? A new home? Or maybe it's a green electric bass guitar. No matter the goal, we're here to help you create a plan that helps you achieve it. Share your dreams with us, and we'll work with you to turn them into reality. Well-being is the key to a life worth loving. So when you think about yours, remember that DePaco can help you be well.
All things Hawkeyes. Your all-access pass from the sidelines to the postgame. Iowa's News Now Sports presents Eye on the Hawks. Sponsored by DePaco Community Credit Union and Pin Seekers.
Well, believe it or not, we coach not to drop it. We emphasize catching over. And I always joke with the guys, like, that's why they call it wide receivers, not wide droppers. Or, there's a name why you call them wide receivers.
And with that kind of coaching, we head into the Big Ten season. The Hawkeyes hitting the road to Rutgers Friday night, 7 p.m. on Fox 28. Welcome to your Wednesday edition of Eye on the Hawks, live from the DePaco studios here at Broadcast Park. Mitch Fick, Owen Sebring, Mike Howell, and Erica, the director, running everything. And we thank her always for all the great work she does. She's the one that's making this show possible. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday. Thank you to DePaco and Pin Seekers for their sponsorships. Of course, you can always watch us on the Iowa's News Now YouTube channel. We've got reels up on Facebook and Instagram as well, and then Eye on the Hawks on X. Always getting updates there. We will start off right away, teeing it up with Pin Seekers as the Hawkeyes do hit the road to Piscataway for that Friday night game after a Saturday night game and all the celebrations that came with Kirk winning his 206th game at Iowa. It's a quick turnaround. The Hawkeyes say they're ready for the challenge.
The biggest thing is just the rest, the extra rest day that you're kind of missing out on. And you kind of have to ramp up the timing of when you're running all your third down stuff, your red zone stuff. So it really kind of forces you to take more time, watch more film earlier in the week so you can kind of understand all the different looks. But the biggest thing is it really just takes away a rest day for us.
Anytime you get to go on the road and get a chance to steal a victory, it's a huge opportunity, something that we're all looking forward to.
I do see it as a challenge, I guess, but like the no off day is cool and all. We just closer to game day. I see it, just less days to get to the game, so we got to be more prepared and stay on top of our recovery.
KF, he preaches, the best team who handles a short week is going to win, and historically we've done a great job of handling a short week, and the coaches, they make a plan and take care of our bodies, and we got to make sure we come out and practice as hard as we can. And coach says plans don't win game, players do. So as long as we come out ready to go on Friday, then we should be good.
Yeah, history's been good on Black Friday in particular. Of course, a lot of wins against Nebraska over the last decade. Your last Friday trip, though, out to L.A. last year didn't go well with the loss to UCLA. Of course, Brendan Sullivan got banged up and was lost in that game. But you go back to the East Coast on a trip in 2021 to Maryland, 51-14, I believe, was the final. So Iowa going east works out on Fridays. It's the West Coast trips they're still trying to shake. But how do we feel about a quick turnaround? Quicker than maybe even normal. Again, with a Saturday night game, we didn't get out of Kinnick until like midnight. Sure. Players probably didn't get out till around that same time, and now you're turning around, changing time zones, early kick on a Friday. How do we feel about those factors going into everything besides the X's and O's?
Well, I did a little dive on Friday games for the Hawkeyes because it's not historic. It feels like in the last few years we've had just a ton of Friday games between the UCLA, the Rutgers, the Nebraska, as we always have. But historically, the Hawkeyes don't play a lot on Fridays. In the entire Hayden Fry era, there was not a single Friday game played. And Kirk Ferentz didn't coach his first Friday game until 2011 when the rivalry started up with Nebraska. Since that time in 2011, Iowa is 12-5 on Fridays. This is, of course, regular season, not including like bowl games that happen to fall on a Friday, just on those short weeks. 12-5. 4 of those losses would be to Nebraska, 1 to UCLA last year. But that's a pretty good win percentage, I'd say, for a short week. TJ Hall said something about that, how they usually play well with a short week, and historically that does seem to be true. I don't know. Kirk Ferentz is probably a guy that doesn't seem to – I would guess he doesn't love the Friday games just because he likes to keep things as normal and standard and as routine as he possibly can. So short week kind of messes with that a little bit, but they always do seem to play pretty well when it comes to the Fridays.
And when you look at this year's schedule, I think this is the only team that you feel comfortable playing. Not the only, but the one you feel most comfortable about playing. Rutgers scored a lot of points this year against, no one of note. Ohio might, contend in the MAC.
Bobcats got something
But
to say
still,
about
it's a MAC team, right? And I think if you look down Iowa's tough schedule, it's like I'd rather go to Piscataway than a lot of those schools on the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing I'll note, this is the 5th of 6 years that Iowa has to open Big Ten play on the road. That's kind of a weird thing, and you're looking it down. The last time they didn't was 21 when they opened the season against Indiana. That's got to change sometime soon, right?
Yeah.
Like Big Ten, let's get a Big Ten home opener, right?
What do you think the fan attendance is going to be out in Piscataway? I know, you've got fans that want to get out to every Big Ten stadium. I know a few folks. Shoot, this was during the Akram-Wadley era where they went out. I think that was maybe Iowa's first game out east, and folks made the trip out there. And it was a novelty then. Is it still a novelty, especially a Friday night? You got high school games around here. Not the easiest itinerary. Talking to some of our colleagues, you're just kind of figuring out the best way to get into New Jersey. I don't know what the fan attendance on the Hawkeye side will be like.
Especially when you think even though a couple of guys in recent years have had, there have been some recent players who had dads who were high school football coaches. Guys like, of course, local kids like Schulte and Max White. But you have to imagine that across the board, there's got to be a lot of high school coaches that have sons that are Hawkeyes, and so this eliminates that opportunity to go to that game, frankly, unless they really want to skip out on their high school game on a Friday night. Usually they can do that quick turnaround, come to Kinnick Stadium on Saturday, but this eliminates that chance. And so that's a big reason why I think these Friday night games are just always going to be poorly attended by Hawkeyes, whether it's in UCLA or at Rutgers. I mean, there, will still be okay attendance in terms of all the other teams that are going to travel to Rutgers, but it probably will not be significant.
I think it's going to be a fun atmosphere out there for Rutgers. They have a blackout. I know their fans love that stuff. I think they're going to be. I don't know how much. I don't know the capacity of that stadium, but I've got to imagine that it's going to be close to full. The one other weird thing I was looking at is it's not that weird, but Iowa's never lost to Rutgers, so I think this team is going to be extra motivated to beat Iowa. There's 7 Big Ten teams that Rutgers hasn't beat, which is almost half the league.
Wow.
Nebraska, they're 0-7. Ohio State 0-10. UCLA and USC 0-1.
Sure.
They really haven't played that much. Wisconsin 0-6, and they've never played Oregon, which they will later. And out of those 7 teams, I think they play Ohio State and Oregon. I think Iowa's the only gettable one on the teams this program hasn't beat. So you got to think the coaching staff's not that these players have anything to do with the program history like that, but you got to think that they're this is our chance to finally beat this Iowa team.
SHI Stadium, which is a dangerous name for a stadium. Capacity is 52,454. One consonant away from canceling this podcast forever, but SHI Stadium is where the Scarlet Knights and Greg Giambi
And with a guy with the last name of Fick on this podcast, we know something about being a letter away from canceling the podcast.
Thanks for the middle school memories, Owen. Yeah.
I have to say that, as much as this was – before the season, I talked about there was a real potential that Iowa doesn't make a bowl game this year, based on a lot of the tough opponents they have on the schedule. And this is one of those games that you really do have to win to make sure that you do get bowl eligible at the end of the season. And it isn't a gimme. I mean, I know we say that every year about every Big Ten opponent. Oh, it's not a rollover game, but we don't always mean it, I don't think. But this one really is not an easy opponent. Athan Kaliak-Manis hasn't thrown an interception this year. They take care of the ball well in Rutgers, and so this is still a tough opponent for Iowa going out to a game, to an opponent that they have not ever lost to. Still got to consider things like that.
And we'll get a little more in-depth on the Scarlet Knights here coming up later in the show, but that is teeing it up with Pin Seekers. Thanks to them for their sponsorship on the podcast. We turn now to what is usually the top story anytime we're firing up a podcast in 2025, or anytime the last 4 seasons for Iowa football. The offense continuing to make incremental progress, maybe the best it's looked all season last week in that win against UMass. But again, it's UMass. Still looking for an identity, but finding some things to be positive about. Here's Mark Gronowski and company about where the offense has been and where it's going.
And I felt a lot more confident just going into this game and just kind of allowing myself to play free and understand that again, at the end of the day, it is just a game. I just got to go be me, go be myself, and I've done it before, so I can be confident in that I can do it again.
Identity this year is just like we can have a team throw junk at us. They can't play their base defense because if they play base, it's not going to be good for them. But if they want to start throwing junk at us, we can pick it up and we will be on the same page starting that.
We've been working all off season, just being able to go out there and just put that on tape and show that we can, execute in the game like that is just big for us and our confidence. And I feel like we're gonna be able to stack days off that and stack games.
Identity on offenses. I mean, we're gonna run the ball. We're gonna try and stretch the teams out left to right, but then also take a lot of play action, deep shots. And when those deep shots aren't open, and I don't have the ability to be aggressive on some of those, I got to continue to check the ball down so we can continue to have those positive plays, so we can keep running those play action plays throughout games.
It's a step forward, and I think we've, 3 weeks into it, I think there's been progress each week. Especially in what we see in practice, and the challenge we had 2 weeks ago. It's a really it's a unique defensive scheme, unique coverages. So not a lot of clean looks. They do a good job not giving you clean looks. But I thought we took a step forward. Still things we can get better at. Ball placement at times could be better, and then certainly, if you get your hands on the ball, you sure like to think we can come up with it, and if we're gonna move forward, we're gonna have to do a little better job with both those things. And had a protection buster too that was, we're gonna have to get better at that as well, because negative yardage is it's tough to overcome, and no matter how it comes to you, it's a bad thing.
So here's a positive. Kirk says Kamari Moulton seems to be on track to come back and play Friday against Rutgers. He's been out since the Albany game, only 3 carries there for RB1. Should be back. The bad news is Xavier Williams, you see him walking away during the UMass game. Kirk says he's out at least a couple weeks, but RVZ out of the boot. Still, though, according to Kirk, not likely to be back until after the bye, so that would put him out for this week and then next week back home against Indiana. But the Iowa offense continuing to look for their next step, averaging just under 5 yards a play. That's 110th in NCAA, with the scoring right up there in the middle of the pack, more than 31 points a contest. Of course, 47 against UMass. That's a season high, the most they've had since that trip out to College Park in 2021. How are we feeling about the offense's progress, particularly the passing game, as good as it's looked all season under Mark Gronowski, who can also run a little bit, but against the Minutemen, things were really clicking, particularly to start the game.
Yeah, I mean, we recapped this a lot on Sunday, but it was the game that we needed to see out of the Hawkeye offense going into Big Ten play, and that's what we got out of them. But we still don't 100% know the identity of this team, and so the Rutgers game that's why, as much as you hate having to go on the road for these sort of Big Ten openers, it is at least a good kind of ramp up into Big Ten play, where it's like if there are still any kinks that need to get worked out, Rutgers is a team to do it against before you have Indiana here for homecoming. Mm-hmm. So there might still be some rust to get shaken off or some bumps along the way, but at least they do have a team like Rutgers that you can work something like that out.
And if there's one thing you're looking at going to this specific game, I think I will be able to win on the line of scrimmage and rush against this defense. Rutgers got the 91st rushing defense in the nation. They're allowing 5.6 yards per carry. And I know on their offensive side of the ball, we'll get to defense later. I don't need to do that. But this is one of those games where, as much as I think in big picture, again, like last week, I want to see working on the passing game. I think Kirk Ferentz is going to go classic and just go heavy run, because that's what they can attack. I mean, their passing defense isn't that great either. I think it's around 70 or 60th in the country. They allow like 150-ish yards in the air a game. But I do think, even missing Xavier Williams, I think Jazz Patterson's looked the best out of the 3 running backs in this small sample size, 3 games.
Okay. Between Moulton, McNeil, and Patterson.
Well, I'm not counting Moulton because we've only seen him like one series.
Sure.
But yeah, out of him and Patterson and I'll add Williams in there too. I think Jazz has looked the best in those 3 games, outside of the first game, I guess. The last 2 games.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping for a heavy dose of Nathan McNeil this week. I think he's one of those shifty backs, and I think he can really do some damage.
Kirk spoke about him a little bit yesterday, kind of saying that, we might still see him, but he is still a true freshman and still is working a lot of things out. And so it might still be the impression he gave, at least, is that we still are a ways from maybe seeing him as a featured back, but still a good dose of him I think we'll see going forward.
Yeah, we'll see. He's only got his time against the twos with Hank Brown in there at quarterback.
Yeah.
But, T.J. Washington, still got faith in him. He was my pick in the preseason to break out. And waiting for him to have a breakout touch, so to speak. At least this season, had the touchdown in the bowl game. But, yeah, I mean, they say it time and again, you know what you got with Jazz. Jazz is as steady as they come. He can get you 5, 6, 7 yards any day of the week, it feels like. Losing Xavier's tough. Kamari, if he's healthy, you'll take your home run hitter out of all of them. He's certainly the best and most proven of the bunch, and then you just hope everybody else keeps doing their thing. And again, Mark Gronowski, you take away the sacks, he's been gaining pretty steadily on the ground as well, and what a weapon. And maybe as we look into what Rutgers struggles with, maybe some opportunity there. We'll get more on the Scarlet Knights, though, later in this. But, of course, you got to look at the defense, too. No turnovers. We get it. They're waiting for that. Sounds like Seth Wallace is calling them the No Boys instead of the Doughboys, which is just mean, but maybe it works. But Zach Lutmer, TJ Hall, Kirk Ferentz, liking what they see so far, even if there are some things to clean up for one of the best defenses statistically in the entire country.
The turnovers will come if everyone just does their job and is in the right spot. You know, you can't try to force something that isn't there. If the quarterback's not throwing the ball deep, you're not going to get a turnover. But it just comes back to doing your job and just playing smart.
I think the whole defense as itself is playing with a lot of confidence. You know, we got guys coming in and out, and whoever's in there, we preach that we always got to keep the standard. And as far as the turnovers, you know, we're going to work on that. You know, we work on it in practice, but at the same time, we can't press and try to force the turnover. We know it's going to happen as long as we're doing our job. You know, Coach Parker, he preaches angles, leverage, running through the ball, finishing, and that also goes with guys running to the ball. You know, we as long as you make the tackle, force it inside or force it to wherever the leverage is, you got guys most of the time, all the Hawkeyes running to the ball.
The guys were hustling overall, and so if somebody did miss a tackle, somebody else is there to close in on it and what have you. But those little things, every week there's win, lose, or draw. There's always something to be corrected in some areas that we can get better at. And I go through the offensive line play probably in even more detail. But just aiming points and little things that if we can get those down better, then, because the competition is going to keep getting tougher here starting this week. So we're going to play in a lot of close games moving forward, just like we did 2 weeks ago. And those little things really tend to make a difference. And, it's like a PAT. You just never know which play is going to be the one. But there's, the old axiom's true. Usually there's 5, 6, 7 plays you go back and look at. If you could change those, it would really impact the game. But as a player or a coach, you never know when that's going to be. That's why you got to be at your best, and we got to make sure we're working on getting better.
Hey, you heard Kirk talk about PATs. He was referencing the Notre Dame game the other day. Of course, Drew Stevens missed a PAT. Rutgers with 2 of their own PATs blocked by Norfolk State last Saturday. So, yeah, it could come down to a few things. But you see the numbers there for the Iowa defense if you're watching on YouTube. 3rd in the nation in total defense, 178 yards a game. 4th in yards per play. Just 2 of those explosive plays over 25. None against UMass, just the 1 against Iowa State and Albany. I get that they want turnovers. How do you guys feel about their performances against, albeit Albany and UMass, lesser opponents? Then you go into Jack Trice, hold them to under 240 yards. Do we still feel confident about the Iowa defense going into, again, a matchup with one of the better quarterbacks, at least so far early in the Big Ten schedule? Kirk Soraka is their offensive coordinator. You know him from his time at Minnesota, was with P.J. Fleck, even going back to the Western Michigan days. Familiarity with that offense and what they bring to the table. But this defense, do you think they're still up to the task?
I think for sure they are. I think that the defense is elite this season. Maybe not what they were a couple years ago, but this defense is still a force to be reckoned with. And even though right now I think they're tied for 84th in the country in turnover margin, obviously they will come eventually. There will be turnovers this season, some week or another. Maybe it's not even this week. And that is, it's not a concern because, I mean, you've heard Kirk Ferentz even say it a million times about how, the team that wins the turnover battle is going to be the team that a lot of times is going to come out on the side of the win. And so they aren't unimportant. And so they do need to get those turnovers and hopefully they do start stacking up eventually. Mm-hmm. But overall, you can see there's not a talent question on the defense.
I'm confident this week. When the schedule gets getting tougher, then I think I'm going to wait and see. Let's see what we have then. I think in general, big picture, like the turnovers, like when this team when this defense is playing the best ball, like they're creating turnovers and they're creating a lot of them. Now, they haven't come. The opportunities may not have been there. I don't know why I'm holding a pen right now.
Keep it going.
Maybe I'm just going, yeah. But no, if, when this, like I said, when this defense is elite, they're causing getting a lot of picks and getting a lot of fumbles. That hasn't happened. That makes me think that long term this season, they won't be elite. They might be good. If that changes, I think that obviously that would be a good thing. This week, though, specifically, I think this D-line will be able to push around Rutgers' offensive line. They're missing like 3 offensive linemen. One got hurt. He was a candidate for starting left tackle. He got hurt in camp. Then they lost their starting left tackle like in the first game for a season-ending injury. And then another lineman was out last week. He got hurt. So
they lost their right tackle,
Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, these DNs should be able to attack.
Let the big dogs eat.
That line. And Kaliak-Manis has gotten sacked 7 times, about 2 a game. So I expect D-line to get loose there.
Yeah, we'll see what's in store when we talk about Rutgers here in a little bit. But first, we're in the Dupaco studio. We might as well hear from Dupaco. Tara joined us earlier just talking about the things that made them want to be part of the Eye on the Hawks experience, and then what maybe they can offer you as we get into the final quarter of 2025 when folks are really wanting to make the most out of their money. Well, we're in the Dupaco studio, and so it would only be right to bring in somebody from Dupaco. Tara McDermott's here, a senior communication and marketing specialist. And first of all, thank you to Dupaco for the space. Really fits the aesthetic we're going for. What made this a partnership that Dupaco wanted to pursue? Obviously, as we've spoken about a little bit off camera, folks around here do like the black and gold.
We do like the black and gold. Some of our markets, for example, are in the Hawkeye region. So we have branches in Coralville, we have branches in Cedar Rapids, Dubuque, and Des Moines, Cedar Valley. So it only fit that we would want to do something to support the Hawkeyes. And, we're member focused and we want to provide our members a great experience. Plus, we have the opportunity to tie our well-known brand with 2 really well-known brands in the community, the Hawkeyes and KGAN. So we felt like it was a good fit with our values and a good fit for our community.
And people are looking for the best fits for their money right now.
Absolutely.
We're 3 weeks into a new school year. Halloween's a month and a half away. The holiday season, I think we're 100 days out from Christmas. So people are trying to find the best ways to get their money to work best for them. So what's Dupaco doing right now as we get into the fourth quarter of 2025 to help folks manage their finances the best they can as they're getting into the end of the year?
Well, we offer all kinds of programs to help members. We have a Bright Savings account it's an interest-based account. We have Holiday Club, so it helps you start saving early and throughout the year, so then you have a little fund to help yourself get through the Christmas funds. There is a Visa balance transfer to transfer some of those high interest balances to a lower interest rate. So there's all kinds of programs all the time, and feel free to stop in a branch or give us a call and we'll be happy to help. Yeah, Dupaco's helping you out with your money, helping us out with a fantastic studio spot. So thanks so much, Tara, for everything you guys are doing, and happy to have Dupaco along board Eye on the Hawks this 2025 football season. All right, thanks again to Tara for the time, and of course to Dupaco for the studio space and everything else they're doing for the pod. We turn now to get a look at the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, 3-0 heading into the Friday night showdown with Iowa. Let's get you a look at the numbers so far and their matchups. Again, that season opening win and a really good one against Parker Navarro and the Ohio Bobcats, 34-31, surviving at home. Rutgers has not gone on the road at all so far in 2025, hosted Miami of Ohio, another team out of the MAC. A little closer game than maybe the score would tell you. Rutgers finally pulled away there at the end of it, but a 45-17 win over Chuck Martin and company there, and the Red Hawks, and then Norfolk State, coached by Michael Vick now, a 60-10 win. That again, the backups added a few more scores there in the fourth quarter. Norfolk, maybe if you watch the tape, a little more competitive, maybe showed you some opportunity along with those other teams that the Hawkeyes could have Friday night. Your guys' initial thoughts about Rutgers, we've shared a little bit, but what do you think the Scarlet Knights present to the Hawkeyes?
Certainly the Ohio win is a quality one, I think, for Rutgers. This last weekend, Ohio really did hang around with Ohio State for a little bit, so that's a quality Ohio team that a lot of people are talking about as maybe not a sleeper for a CFP spot, certainly, but like one of the better Group of 5 teams, I think, this year. So Rutgers is quality, and like I was saying earlier, this is not the Rutgers team to sleep on. They have some talent on offense. Ethan Kaliak-Manis, who we know well on this podcast. We've talked about him for the last few years. The Iowa defense knows him from his time at Minnesota. 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The sacks are there, so they're going to probably make his night miserable. But there is a talent there on offense between Callie McManus, the running back, Antoine Reynolds, averages 5 yards a run. There is some talent there for the Rutgers Knights.
Yeah, definitely. And some of that talent, though, like I mentioned with the linemen, they also could lose their leading receiver could be out on Friday. Greg Schiano didn't play his hand. Ian Strong, he got hurt last week. He might be out. The weird thing about that Norfolk State game, I didn't watch it, but I looked at the box score and I looked at some highlights. In the first quarter, they were up, 13-0, both on like 2 blocked punts. Right?
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So
I think I saw
The first one, a block in the sense that
it was ruled a block.
Yeah, he tried to kick it after it was a bad snap, and then it was just
I think
a block in the box score. Yeah,
somebody said they lead the nation in block punts. I believe Rutgers
3 or 4. Yeah, they had one.
When you get 2 in 1 quarter, right?
Yeah, had one in the opener against Ohio as well. Same thing. Like it was a bad snap, and the punter was doing what he could with it. Yeah, you're right. Ian Strong, who's really good, but KJ Duff, a 6'6" wideout. Presents a lot of trouble out on the outside as well. Him and Strong 6'3", 210 or something like that. Strong not just in name only. That's a big body there. And then they brought in a really good slot receiver. I know we talk a lot about Devontae Ross moving from Troy to Penn State, and you'll see him here in about a month or so. But D.T. Sheffield out of North Texas, he is your quintessential slot guy. When we've got a 6'6" and a 6'3" on the outside, and you can use them as decoys and get DT opened up. He's had some really nice plays for them so far. And another great tool for Callie McManus. If Strong is out, I believe it's Ben Black plugged in, had some nice go last week against Norfolk State. One of the numbers you don't see up on the YouTube channel, you see the offensive numbers are really good, the defensive ones kind of middle of the road. Rutgers is 123rd in the country in yards per play allowed. They are giving up more than 6.5 yards per play. And they've given up yards to everybody, whether it's Ohio. Parker Navarro, who's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the country, did anything and everything he wanted. He was outstanding, as he is against most any team that he plays against. But saw the success for Miami of Ohio, saw the success for Norfolk State as well. Mark Gronowski has scrambled a little bit. He's got outside the pocket. He's stretched things. You heard him talk about wanting to use play action. Not only can he get out, and a lot of quarterbacks against the Scarlet Knights have had success running the ball on scrambles, their safeties, Kirk mentioned yesterday, really play up against the run. I would argue to a detriment at sometimes. They bite hard on RPOs. They bite hard on play action. You heard Gronowski talk about trying to get some play action worked in. The RPO stuff has really started to click. You might think Iowa plays into this narrative, oh yeah, they're going to run the football and pound it out. I think there's going to be some opportunities in the passing game where Iowa can really work downfield and hit some of those big plays like you saw in the opener, because those safeties, particularly number 5, the free safety, who has a touchdown return, one of those block punts, he comes in all the way in on those runs and is bit on some of those RPOs where he thinks it's going to be run, and it's not. And we saw a lot of teams have success on that. I will say on the defensive side of the ball for Iowa, and it's everybody's 1 of 11. It takes everybody. This is the game where we've seen TJ Hall step up in coverage, particularly against Iowa State. This could be the one where, okay, Deshaun Lee, it's time for you to prove against whether it's Strong out there or Ben Black if he's in, or going up against a 6'6" guy. That's not fun for – there's no 6'6" cornerbacks out there more often than not, no 6'6" safeties. There are going to be some times, and you're going to have Lutmer probably lining up with Sheffield there in the slot, in the cash spot, or maybe Cohen in there as well. Those are the times you're going to really need to step up and stop Callie McManus, because he'll throw to those guys on the outside one-on-one. Can you keep those assignments strong, and can you keep Raymond? Antoine Raymond's had a really nice year filling in where he can for C.J. Campbell, another running back who's banged up. There's opportunity on offense, I think, for that passing game to maybe really make a statement. Yeah. Again, you can probably lean on the run and have success there. But the defense, particularly the pass, we've been praising them, rightfully so. Keep those explosives down against a quarterback that's got 30-plus starts and who's got some big weapons on the outside, and then a great slot receiver in Sheffield.
And on offense, if you get that running game going, that's only going to help bring those safeties up. Mark can take some shots. One other thing that's going to be interesting for me, I was looking at it. I wanted to see, because Iowa's special teams have gone up and down throughout each game. Rutgers has not allowed a punt return this season. They haven't had to cover one. They've punted twice, both flare caught.
Interesting.
And we know that Caden Weegan is one of the best in the country. He showed it last week. Step up in competition. I wonder how, not doing it in a live game impacts their punt coverage. Something to watch out for.
You'd like to think they'd shore up a bit, considering or understand that maybe there's going to be an opportunity
or not kick
for the,
to him,
for the reigning Big Ten defense or special teams player of the week to have an opportunity out there. Well, Caden Weegan certainly had all the shine after his punt return escapades on Saturday, but another guy who really announced his presence, and we've been waiting for this, KJ Parker, first career catches against UMass, had his first career touchdown. We thought maybe he had it one time. Turned out just out of bounds, just didn't have possession. Then finally finished up with an offering from Hank Brown for his first career store. The kid by way of Immaculate Conception Catholic Prep, coached by former Hawkeye Matt Bowen. KJ Parker, redshirt freshman wideout that we've been hearing since bowl prep about. He is our Hawkeye highlight this week.
What's that moment like after you thought you had it in one corner of the end zone, you get over and you get the other one? I know it's a long time coming.
It's honestly a great feeling to get that first catch, kind of shaking off the jitters and being able to get in the end zone means a lot. So I feel like it was just a real feeling. Being able to celebrate with my brothers, I feel like that was the best part. Everybody just being happy for each other, and yeah, that was the best part about it.
Do you think you had your foot down on the first one?
I definitely did have my foot down. And, they didn't even try to review it, but it's all right. So just got to let it go, move on to the next catch, and yeah, but I definitely had it down for sure.
You got 40 snaps the other day. Is that a vote of confidence, do you feel like, from the coaches?
Oh, yes, sir. I just feel like the coaches are believing in me, and I really appreciate that. I'm not going to take that for granted. I'm going to, being able to just capitalize on those type of things when they are, giving me those snaps and wanting me to get in the game like that. And I definitely appreciate the coaches to put trust in me, be out there for that many times.
What can you do to fix the drops that you've had?
Definitely just dial in on focusing on my hands more, just not taking my eyes off the ball. I think most times when I drop the pass, I took my eyes off of it, and being able to actually look the ball in and being able to just catch the ball, slow the game down for myself, and just get on them jugs.
I mean, you're not the only one who dealt with some drops this last weekend. Is that a conversation that Coach Bud had with the guys or anything like that?
Coach Bud did mention it. He knows what we're capable of 100%, so he knows it's nothing we cannot catch the ball. It's just we just need to focus on details more for sure. I feel like he emphasized the fact that we need to look the ball in more, and when we went over film, he was just saying everybody needs to look the ball in more. Stop trying to, make a play before you, get the basics down with catching the ball first and then making the play, because, our eyes is going to do our work for us. We're just trying to move too fast, or I'm trying to move too fast for that part.
Where's your comfortability level at with Gronowski?
I'll say as far as 1 through 100, I'll say 100%. I believe in Gronowski a lot. He's a great guy off the field, and I feel like our connection, with the receivers, tight ends, even running backs, is so tight this year. Definitely tighter than most years. So I feel like that playing a big part to that definitely helps us out with chemistry and stuff like that.
You've gotten a lot of time with Hank, though, I'm sure, as the season's got on. Just how's he grown just since showing up in December?
Hank is a very mature individual. I love Hank. I love everybody in the quarterback room, but Hank specifically, he's just a great guy, always looking for improvement, always looking to just always help us out any ways he can. Knowing that he's not starting right now, but he's out there, he's motivating us, he's telling us what we could have done better. So I feel like that connection with me and Hank is definitely going to be very strong.
Now, you'll be forgiven if you don't recognize KJ Parker on the field, because that number 1 is the third number he's had since the start of the 2025 season. Was 84 last year as a redshirt. That's what he wore in bowl prep and during the Music City Bowl, then switched to 12 for the spring, and now settling on number 1. And this is a look, if you're watching on YouTube, just so close. He said his foot was down. I think his foot was down as the ball was in his hand, maybe not possessed, but shows you a little bit of his ball skills, and yeah, you see it in warm-ups too. He can catch the ball, folks, and just seems like a great kid, and I know there's high hopes for what he can continue to do in this offense, not just this year with Mark Gronowski, but again, you heard about his bond with Hank Brown, and again, the pedigree of being coached by a former Hawkeye. Folks are really high on him.
Yeah, we had a chance to talk with him just about his roots, how he came to Iowa, and yeah, Matt Bowen, name that Hawkeye fans will remember from kind of late Hayden Fry. Maybe I think he played under Ferentz for 1 season, I believe, and so he's been coaching over in Chicago now, and leads a guy like KJ Parker to come to Iowa. And Matt Bowen obviously doing a lot of good things in the world of journalism, working for ESPN, and serving as an assistant high school football coach. He's got a lot of irons in the fire, and KJ had a lot of positive things to say about him. He was like, I've never heard him yell, and I was like, maybe this is just my stereotype where I'm like, anytime there's like a bald linebacker, I'm just like assuming they're going to be like a psychopath. But like
he was a safety. Maybe it's a different mentality.
I guess so. So anyway, but yeah, a lot of good things to say about Coach Bowen.
Yeah, and KJ was one of the wide receivers that a lot of people were excited about. And I just think if you can shore up that drop issue, that just one extra reliable weapon that heading into Big Ten season. So yeah, we're all rooting for him.
And he's not the only one. He had.
I think he leads the team in drops at least.
Yeah, he's not the only one, but yeah, and that's focus, and that'll be something we'll keep an eye on Friday night. He had a great catch that was kind of like bobbled and re-caught against Albany, but it got wiped out because of a penalty. But yeah, you see the ball skills there, whether it's a touchdown that didn't count or in spring ball and kids day. He's got the opportunity to really light things up. So KJ Parker, our Hawkeye highlight this week, and hopefully coming up with more highlights on the trip to Piscataway, which, again, don't know how many Hawkeye fans are going to be heading to the Northeast, but we got your forecast covered all the same. Grayson Freund giving us a look at what things are going to be like in Piscataway on Friday.
Hey Hawkeye fans, we are playing the Scarlet Knights at Rutgers this Friday in Piscataway, and if you're heading out to that game, here is a quick check of that forecast for you. So kickoff is at 8 p.m. Eastern. Skies are expected to be mostly clear and temperatures will be in the lower 70s, so feeling nice and comfortable, but by the fourth quarter likely dropping into the mid 60s, so don't forget to pack a jacket or a hoodie with you if you're heading out there. But if you'll be watching here from home, kickoff is at 7 p.m. Temperatures will be in the 70s, and we do have that chance for scattered showers and storms, so I would likely recommend moving your plans indoors. But whether you're headed out there in person or watching on your TV, enjoy the game and go Hawks.
Yeah, we'll use that tailgating forecast for Eastern Iowa for the Eastern Iowa OT forecast, so we'll bring our rain gear for the cameras coming up. Week 4, a lot of great matchups as we get ready for the Friday night show that you can watch on Fox 28 after watching Iowa Rutgers.
The tease I had last night, of course, was that you can even watch one of Iowa's newest commits, David Faison from Prairie.
There you go.
There for to be Hawks.
Yeah, just committed yesterday as preferred walk-on, and as you were pointing out, that Seth Wallace and Kelvin Bell were at his game the other night. So lots to look forward to on Friday night, not just on the high school gridiron, but of course at the college level. We'll save Iowa Rutgers for our final pick, but let's get into quite the Saturday slate across the Big Ten. We'll start with Maryland going to Wisconsin for their Big Ten opener, an 11 a.m. kick Saturday on NBC and Peacock. The Badgers, who could have Billy Edwards back, the former Terp himself, possibly going up against his old team. Wisconsin's a 10.5-point favorite against a 3-0 Maryland team who has certainly found their quarterback replacing Billy Edwards in Malik Washington. He's been outstanding early on.
Yeah, Washington's put up some numbers, over 700 yards passing right now, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. DeJuan Williams, 121 yards on the ground, a touchdown scored. I just am what's the spread here again?
10.5.
In Maryland's favor? Or in
They're underdogs.
Favor? Definitely Maryland. Hammer in Maryland. Yeah, I'm still not sure what to make out of Wisconsin this year if they have the chance to keep with the rest of the Big Ten, so for sure Maryland.
This is definitely like a baited line, right? Like trying to take Maryland.
I was shocked by this line.
What have you seen from Wisconsin to like make you think they can beat any Big Ten team by 10 points? Or more than 10 points.
Yeah, Danny O'Neal has got some electricity to him if he ends up being the quarterback, filling in for Edwards, but he's also been turning the ball over too. And again, they're coming off a game against Alabama that's a physical trip to make and then come back.
This line makes me want to take Wisconsin and just be like, I got to trust Vegas because it seems like they know something to try and put it like this. But I'm going to go with Maryland. I don't think Wisconsin is beating, like I said, any Big Ten team by 11 points.
Yeah, I think it could be a 10-point game. I'm so impressed with Malik Washington. And they were high on him. He's a Maryland kid that stayed home, and that's a big pickup for the Terps. I think even if Wisconsin does win this thing, and hey, if you're favored by 10.5, you've got a good shot at winning. But I think they it won't be a blowout there at Camp Randall. And I think even a young quarterback making his first road start, he's an impressive kid, and I think he can keep them in this one. So I'll take Maryland to cover as well. Then you've got a heck of a game, 2:30 over on CBS 2. They've been talking about this one for a while in Lincoln. Michigan coming in, 21st ranked team in the country. They're a 2.5-point favorite at Nebraska. Can the Cornhuskers not just cover, but maybe get the first win to show that, hey, 2025 might be Matt Rule's turning point?
While the Huskers have looked decent this season, Dylan Raiola so far 829 yards, 8 touchdowns thrown. Emmett Johnson's looking good on the ground for them, over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. I still don't want to start picking Nebraskan games until they can prove to me that they can compete with the rest of the Big Ten, so give me Michigan.
So we have obviously talked a lot about Iowa going 0-10 in the last 10 against ranked teams. Nebraska hasn't beat a ranked team since 2016 when they beat Oregon, a 22 ranked Oregon team, and Michigan is ranked, so this would qualify. I just am not in a spot where I can. I like Bryce Underwood. I think he's gonna be a good quarterback eventually, maybe next year or the year after, and he obviously does a lot of good things from now. I'm not gonna trust him on the road in the Big Ten until I see it. This line screams like take Michigan because it's a brand and they're only a 2.5-point dog. So I think Nebraska finally gets it off the monkey off their back here. Yeah, I'm interested to see how Underwood does in road start number 2. Went to Oklahoma, which, walking into Norman anytime, no matter if you're a redshirt senior or a true freshman, that's a tough one. Certainly took his lumps there. I don't think it was all probably softer defense this week too.
Yeah, there you go. And again, this is I believe the second game where Biff Poggi is the interim head coach for Michigan. So he goes on the road. This ain't CMU. Doesn't get to stay at the big house. It won't be a 60-point win over a Chippewa team that Joey Labus, former Hawkeye, had a rough day there. And just not a good day for CMU across the board. I'm going to take Nebraska to cover 2. I think Michigan might still win this thing. It might be close, but this could be, is Michigan as good as their ranking shows? Is Nebraska ready to take the next step? I think this is an opportunity for them to at least get close. They've had trouble in those close games too, but I think Nebraska at home might be able to pull something off there. We turn then to what is probably the game of the week in the Big Ten. The team that Iowa hosts next week for homecoming, Indiana at home themselves in Bloomington, a 5.5-point favorite against the top 10, number 9 ranked Illinois squad. That's your 6:30 game on NBC. Can the Illini get a marquee win a couple weeks after going into Durham and beating Duke? Can they kind of plant their flag as one of the teams to beat in the Big Ten?
Yeah, there were some people that were even saying it's shameful on the part of College Game Day not to be at this game. They chose the Florida-Miami game, I think, for Saturday's matchup instead of Illinois-Indiana, which is a top 20 game. Maybe all these quarterback numbers just seem crazy to me just because of Mark Gronowski's quarterback numbers are not quite as eye-popping, but both these guys, Luke Altmaier and Indiana's quarterback, have over 700 yards right now. Neither has thrown an interception this season. But I still am a little bit like maybe have a prejudice against Indiana as a relevant contender. I think I need a couple seasons to prove that they belong in the Big Ten, so I think I'm going to go with Illinois in this one.
It's a big spread, too, 5.5. I kind of thought it'd be kind of shorter. Who would have thought Indiana, Illinois, like 5 years ago, like, hey, in 5 years, this is going to be the game of the week in the Big Ten with all these other matchups. It's just funny because I think Scott Docterman said on his podcast they'd combined for like 17 last-place finishes or somewhere around that lane. I don't have the number correct, but it's just wild. I think Iowa fans, though, hope Indiana wins because they want a ranked team, and I think there's a slight chance that Indiana, if they lose and if they lose bad, might drop out just because of the brand. I think I'm going to take Indiana. Chris Signetti hasn't lost at home since he started at Indiana. I like their quarterback. I like both quarterbacks in this game. Should be a good game.
Mendoza's coming in, been really nice.
I wanted to take the points, but I think I'm going to go Indiana.
I'm going to take the points, but I share the same sentiment as Mike. I think Indiana can win this by a field goal. It's real tough. I love this Illinois team. Talk to Kason Frericks, what he thinks about. He's always like glass half empty, so he might be a little more pessimistic about things. I wouldn't be shocked if Altmaier and those guys go in and win. It's going to be tough though because it's for as many times as Indiana's finished at the bottom of the barrel, you also think it's Antoine Randall and Trey Roberson, and they've had a lot of talent over the years that has stepped up. And Curtis Rourke was fantastic for them last year coming in out of Ohio, giving Parker Navarro the chance to do what he did against Rutgers and other teams throughout the last couple of seasons. But I'll take Illinois to cover. I still, though, would lean as Indiana as the favorite, but that's going to be a close game. It's going to be a great game to watch Saturday night. But this Friday night, the spotlight is only on Piscataway. Iowa heading to Rutgers as a 2.5-point favorite. Again, that's a 7 p.m. kick on Fox 28, so tune in and watch it on your local Fox affiliate there. Can the Hawkeyes start the Big Ten season 1-0 and go to 3-1 and get a big road win to open up the conference schedule?
If the line was a little different, I'd be a little more hesitant maybe to pick the Hawkeyes. If it was like a 6.5, 7.5 situation, then I'd maybe be a little more hesitant. But I don't know. I just feel like I have to go with Iowa in this one against Rutgers. I think that they're getting things cleaned up. I think the defense is going to have a strong night against the Scarlet Knights in spite of a is it a blackout they're doing?
It's blackout.
Yeah, blackout. I just really have a hard time seeing Rutgers compete in this game.
Especially with the injuries, too, on the offensive line and possibly receiver, running back. I just think that Iowa's going to be able to, control the game and run the football, and that could lead to some big plays down the field if those safeties do come up like we were talking about earlier. So I'm taking Iowa, too.
The fear is that this turns into a shootout, and that'd be an interesting thing. Again, Kaliak-Menes has all of that firepower on the outside with Duff and Strong if Strong's able to play, and then Sheffield in the slot. So there's plenty of opportunity. It's a put-up game again for T.J. Hall, Deshaun Lee, Jalen Watson, those cornerbacks. Can you stick with these 6'3", 6'6" receivers on the outside, and whatever help that Wampa and Entringer can bring in there, and Zach Lutmer in his role as well. They've got to do their job. I will put faith, though, that they can, and I do think there are going to be opportunities in the pass game for Iowa. I think Kamari coming back is huge, can help stay things steady. We may see a good balanced attack, which for the first time in the Big Ten, I think Iowa fans would be happy to see that for the first time in a couple of years. But I do think there are going to be opportunities in the play action and RPO, both for Mark to run and pass. So I will take Iowa to cover as well. Expecting a good performance from the offense and maybe a little more assuredness that the offense continues to make progress and that Mark Gronowski is not the 8 of 15 for 44 yards guy that came out with some nerves in the opener. I think this is where you're going to see him, even a guy who hasn't played a lot of Friday football, as you were asking him about, Owen. I think he'll be ready to get things done, and I think, again, it might be a chance to see what Warren Ruggiero's advanced scout has done on short notice, because they need all the preparation you can get when you have one less day to physically recover.
Speaking of Mark's passing game, if you look at the data points, he's doubled up on his passing yards like every game, right? 43, 85-ish, 170. Could this be a 300-yard?
Would you rather have $1 billion or 1 penny every day doubled for the rest of your life?
I wouldn't bet on it. You guys want to know the over-unders that I saw on FanDuel and
sure
for passing yards on Mark Gronowski? This is on DraftKings, 135.5 is the over-under set. And FanDuel, it's 129.5. That seems about right?
Sure. I don't know player props that well. I'll just, whatever you say, I'll nod and say, all right.
Maybe a little high, but I do think they're going to lean on the running game. But, like you said, if play action and those RPOs work, maybe there's more passing game than I initially think.
Yeah. I think that they will throw the ball around a little bit more, kind of like our sentiment going into the UMass game where we're like, throw the ball around, let your quarterback work out the kinks a little bit. I could see them doing the same thing against Rutgers going into the rest of the Big Ten.
Yeah, interested to see how it all unfolds. We will have our recap podcast of the Rutgers game then Saturday instead of Sunday. Why make you wait an extra day? We'll move up. We'll adjust as well. Of course, you can watch that again on the Iowa's News Now YouTube channel along with all of our Eye on the Hawks content. Also, we are wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to go to the YouTube channel as well. We've got 40 minutes at least of player interviews from this week. Some of the guys you heard from. We also got to hear from Drew Stevens again, Reese Dakin for the first time this season. They were all out there on Tuesday, so we've got their sound up on the YouTube channel, as well as we've just been posting Mark's by itself because folks seem to like the quarterback and what they like to listen to there, his comments as well. So you've got plenty of content to catch up on top of this podcast between now and Friday at 7 o'clock when Iowa kicks off against Rutgers. We'll be back on Saturday to recap everything against the Scarlet Knights. For Erica, Mike, and Owen, I'm Mitch. We'll see you then on Eye on the Hawks.
At DePaco Credit Union, we value your health and happiness as much as your financial well-being. What's your dream? A trip? A new home? Or maybe it's a green electric bass guitar. No matter the goal, we're here to help you create a plan that helps you achieve it. Share your dreams with us, and we'll work with you to turn them into reality. Well-being is the key to a life worth loving. So when you think about yours, remember that DePaco can help you be well.